Everyone's like, oh my God, Ty Trivet concert. But did you know I made no money? You know what I mean? And and this is not to create beef. And this is my transparent. This is my documentary. This is my documentary. This is my honesty. You know what I mean? Because no one's gonna, God forbid, I could die tomorrow. No one's gonna do a documentary on me and gonna say what didn't really happen, unsung, and talk about it. I'll talk about it. My own church at the time barely supported, right? They came. Remember, I'm playing drums at the church, so I'm thinking we lit. Like I'm playing here every Sunday for for whatever they can give. And a few people came out that I could always have counted on, but that was the day that it became even lonelier. I will be sharing so much about my experience, my 20th year as an entrepreneur. So much I'm going to tell. So it's 2006. 2006 was one of my biggest years. Now I'm older. I have 2 years of entrepreneurship in my in my portfolio. You know what I mean? I have two stripes, like they would say, and I'm figuring it out. 2006 is the first year now I started taking really, really big risk. So in 2006, remember I said Bridging the Gap was a place that helped push people's just their what they really had inside of them. I want to say that phrase. So 2006 was the first year I actually had my fashion show. From basketball to tournaments. So some people only know me for fashion shows, right? So now it's like Jackson's gonna put together a fashion show. I'm like, okay, how do I go about this fashion show? Okay. And I said, why a fashion show? And one of the biggest things I wanted to install, especially in young ladies, because I had a lot of kids at the time too, and adults, was ensuring that they can grow up with confidence and for them to see that they can do what they've seen on TV. So I decided to give a call to so many people. So my very first fashion show, Farrah Lewis was teaching models how to walk. And she's like, I can't do this. She got in contact with Rondon Charles. Rondon was a model for Boss in that season. I remember a couple other people. We had Sevi, Denise. We got Sevi. We had Stacy Armand. And these are all people you guys know. Ricardo. We had Fifi doing makeup. Fifi was doing makeup. We had, who else? We had, Vinny Etienne, which is huge now. But Vinny Etienne was just a model. Vinny, I remember being in Eston Friends rehearsal. I told Vinny, I was like, yo, you know how to dress, man. You got a good, posture to you. What would it look like to be a model at my fashion shows? And Vinny was like, yo, Jackson, you think I could do it? I was like, absolutely. And Vinny was a model, okay? And we'll continue to talk about Vinny in another episode. But Vinny became a model, and the fashion shows I'm talking about, it was tough because, still lonely. Still hearing things like you're hustling, still trying to figure it out, and there's no funding. So I'm same thing, hustling tickets. And I got my first sponsor for the first time, okay, guys? 2006, Sleep in Peace, our brother, David Cox, Diamond is who owns, his wife, family currently owns IHOP downtown Brooklyn, the Papa John's, and at the time he had Club Rain, I believe, and partner to Don Poo that owns Chop House, and he was my mentor, and he got me in contact with a few people, And Diamond gave me my very first $100 sponsorship. To some people, it may be nothing, but it was a big deal because I didn't know what sponsorship was. No one taught me that space and what that looks like. Diamond brought me in. Then Diamond introduced me to the representative at Carnetison. And Carnetison was my second sponsor to help us put this fashion show together. And I remember the fashion show being a highlight in our community. You know, so many people came out. Man, to mention, a few people. I remember I had people such as Jane as a model. And, and let me tell you, here's the truth, right? Not knowing anything about fashion models in that season, like I even had Laurette, from East 21st, we really got who we thought looked good, right? Oh, this person looks good. That guy has a great walk. We had what's this guy named Gerard that now lives in London. Okay, actually, I had to connect with Gerard, man. Again, one day, Gerard was in, and he was a model for us. And in that season, I wound up getting a lot of I don't want to say enemies because enemies is a tough word. I want to say I built even more people that wasn't fond of me. Maybe it's because of the way I was, but no one really had grace, right? No one really looked at me and said, he's only 19. He's trying to put something together. And I'll be honest with you, everybody was at least, for the most part, 5 to 7 years older than me. So the maturity they were supposed to have grace, that didn't really happen like that. Where, maybe it's the way I should have showed appreciation. I didn't understand it. There was no mentorship like that. Throughout the whole time, I was just figuring it out. My eye was setting on keeping the community together. I remember getting a young lady such as Pauline. I remember her being tall. I'm like, oh, she's tall, she's pretty. Yeah, I think she could do a really good job modeling. And not really understanding that space, right? And what that looks like. But I must say we pulled it off and we had some amazing shows and we went on and done a few fashion shows. We did 2 that year. And funny, I had Esther host and it was kind of deep because Lakai Entertainment was always a Christian-based organization. And when we had to do fashion shows, it was like, how do we do a fashion show but keep it Christian? And that's when I started encountering things like secular versus gospel. All the hypocrisy that remains amongst us as a community. How, modesty versus not modesty, for the lack of a better term. And how people like, use Kanye's song, but just don't use his words. I'm like, you want the beat? And in that space, I started seeing lots of division. I was experiencing division from a young age because the older folks that I kind of reached out to, and, shout out to, again, Gene, and even at the time, me, I had, Billy had Gospel Good Time that helped out wherever they could. What I'm saying? Those were one of the 2 guys I can say that, that had some kind of partnership and we figured things out. But for the most part, we were on our own figuring it out. Why? Is because I was deemed as a threat to a lot of people in the community. Some people may stand and say, yeah, right, you was no threat. You may have said that, but I was treated that way because no information was really shared with me for me to grow. I didn't understand taxes and what that looks like. So fashion shows done. Jackson, remember my core is I'm for a living, I am a artist, drummer. And at the time, what I got going on now didn't happen, but I was into concerts. So after I did a few concerts, I said, I'm gonna go on the limb. I'm gonna do a big concert. I did a concert I was the first one to bring Ty Tribbett in a big concert. Cause Ty Tribbett used to come to Brooklyn all the time. And, in a very, small different communities. I'm sure he did a couple big tunes, but he never came to the big Haitian community and understood it. I called Nisi at the time, and oh man, did I understand what it means for business to be business, and there's no God bless you. Brisapat. Petit. Ty, at the time, said to me, not him, but his management is like, at the time Ty was not much. He was $14,000. But $14,000 in that time, that's a lot of money. Where was I going to get that? Here's the truth, guys. I didn't have it. I literally sold tickets down to the wire. Never made $1 on that counter and many others. I just was able to experience a community get together. Had strike sound. I'm talking about I was paying people the night of, like going to the door and seeing how much, but came in. But it was deep to me because that's when I really started realizing how important support was. Because I remember I had cats who were saying, yo, Jackson, this person's at the door. Can we get him in? And I was like, yo, cool, but who's gonna pay that Thai Tribbett bill? And the fact that I was already judged and I was being called a hustler and people wasn't feeling me per se, from what I understood, I let people in to make everybody happy. Everyone's like, oh my God, Thai Tribbett concert. But did you know I made no money? Did you know at the time, you know what I mean? And, and this is not to create beef. And this is my transparent, this is my documentary, this is my documentary, this is my honesty. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to, God forbid, I could die tomorrow. No one's going to do a documentary on me and going to say what didn't really happen unsung and talk about it. I'll talk about it. Yo, my own church at the time barely supported, right? They came. Remember, I'm playing drums at the church, so I'm thinking we lit, like I'm playing here every Sunday for, for whatever they can give. And a few people came out that I could always have counted on, but that was the day that it became even lonelier. Because at that point, I said, wow, am I a threat to you too? Why am I a threat to you? And I may have been wrong. I may not have been a threat to them. At that time, I'm 19, 20. What do I know? I have a concert happening. Thai Tribbett management's like, we're not getting on stage without the balance. Business is business. I forgot, I think I had Danny and Lewis opening up at the time in 2006. And I was like, and I believe I had Esther and Friends as well. And I think this group called Divinity at the time. No one knew what was going on, but Jackson had to figure it out. Get the money. Then I said, Jackson, you made a decision. Put in that work. Move forward. So, just to backpedal a little bit, shout out to Wassa Legene and Patrick. I forgot Patrick's last name. I slept under the Van Wyck in my sister's car, waiting for Allen AME to open just to pass out flyers. Just to pass out flyers, just for people to take the flyer and drop it. Church people. Or say, I don't want it. I'm like, it's gospel. I don't want it. Well, dang, yo. I'm young. I'm like a 19-year-old, 20 boy. You can't take it from me? Sucker? Nah. It's like, then I was on the train, guerrilla marketing. Yo, Thai Tribbett. Yo, I was going through the train. I remember seeing LaToya Silby on the train. She go to Emmanuel. Ty Tribbett's in town. Ty Tribbett's coming in town. Could you imagine? So anybody ever, or Jackson, he walks with his shoulder high. Jackson was on a train going, Ty Tribbett's coming in town. Ty Tribbett's coming to town. Wearing the darn poster on my front and my back. People don't know these stories. That's what I'm telling them. So I am where I am now, and how I am, there's a buildup to this space because I was willing to put in the work. And now when Ty Tribbett, again, I had to say that to myself when the money wasn't there yet. So put in the work. The young man that was hosting at the time, I went to him. I was like, yo, man, you hosting a big concert. I know you have that gift. And I was like, yo, man, help me raise the funds. I need to get this group on stage. And, and of course, this is no down to Ty and the way he does business or any other group, what I mean? Because I run a institution myself, but I didn't know. So I wind up getting the money. The concert was blessed. People loved it. But that was the beginning of new levels now because new eyes were on me. New eyes were on Lacan Entertainment. But I didn't know new divisions was getting ready to come too. I didn't know new people was going to look at me crazy. I didn't know. In my mind, I did something great, which arguably I did. But the question is, when you're in leadership, as much as you're ready for the success, are you ready for the turbulence that it comes with? I'll see you guys in the next episode as we jump into 2007. You get a little bit more about what happened with us. Lacan Entertainment, it gets better. Oh yeah, that was funny. That was our slogan. So it's fair to say that now. As you listen to Road to 20, and just in case I didn't mention it, I'll mention it anyway. 2024 makes 20 years of entrepreneurship. So stay tuned. It gets better. Peace. So fashion show, now I'm learning different names, manager, interior designer, backstage person, all these names, but no money to connect to these names. You know what I'm saying? And because the reality is, in a business, is something I'll share with you guys. In a business, you need to be able to have three people. There's three things that someone should be able to contribute to your space if they're actually joining you. Time, talent, or treasure. Very rare you can only give one.